What is up, Batch Nation? This is Nathan Payne. We got my man, Brad Chandler. What's up, Brad?
Hey.
Awesome. Hey, we are here with the Investor Thrive Live. We come live every Wednesday to talk to Batch Nation about how to use Batch, how to take action as real estate investors, how to succeed in life. It's pretty much a show that's just there to help you guys succeed. That's why we do it. We do it because we care. We want to help you. I know it takes a lot of effort and energy to, get deals. So we're trying to do our best to give you what you need to succeed. So Brad, kind of tell the world, I think people know who I am. Tell the world if they don't know, who is Brad Chandler?
Yeah, Brad Chandler read a book in ninth grade, How to Buy Real Estate with No Money Down. And in 2002, an investor bought my neighbor's house in Vienna, Virginia. And I went and talked to him. And he says, yeah, I buy houses at 30% below market. I fix them up and resell them. I was like, whoa, I don't remember that. I don't remember them telling that in the book, but it was, several years earlier. So at that point in time, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start buying houses. And it took me 8 long months to find my first deal because, Nathan, you weren't around then. I'm not even sure if you were barely born.
What year was it?
It was 2002.
Oh, I was born, bro. I was in middle school, I think.
I'm messing with you. So if I had Nathan Payne, it wouldn't take me 8 months to do my first deal, but it did take me 8 months. And in July and August of 2003, I bought 6 houses. And then in October, I went to my employer and I said, I quit. And I came home and I told my wife at the time, she's like, are you crazy? We got a newborn son and I've got 2 kids and you just quit. And I'm like, it'll be fine. And here we are. We're not still married, but here we are 20 years later, and it's been fine. I've done 4,000 houses all over the country, mostly in DC, Maryland, Virginia. So that was who Brad has been up until age 47, and then we can carry on and tell kind of what's gone on from that. Did you have any questions on that to begin?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I appreciate you letting the world know how you got your start in real estate. That's a ton of transactions. It's amazing. So what we're going to be going over today is how your message, what you teach, Brad, how it relates to kind of my sales process. We're going to tie that in, and how I love to work with sellers, because every time I work with the seller, anyone in my life, I'm trying to leave them better off than where I met them, where I found them, because I'm never trying to force, a solution on someone. If it doesn't work for them or they don't see the value, it's no problem. So kind of, Brad, tell us a little bit about your message and what you do, because I know, we've been getting pretty close over the last couple of months since we're in a lot of the same masterminds, but kind of tell people what you do now.
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to give you some credit because there's a lot of people in the space, right, trying to teach wholesaling. And there's very few that are in it for the right reasons. And over our however long we've known each other, 6 months or a year, it's been so obvious to me that you're in this business to help other people. I see you helping in a group that we're in all the time. You're just a consummate go giver. And that's why I refer people when people come to me and they're like, who should I go to for learning real estate investment? I pass them to you because I know that you're not interested in earning $1. You're interested in literally helping change these people's lives. And that's a good segue. So good job, man. And if you're on the fence about thinking, I'm not getting paid to say this. If you're on the fence about thinking about joining some type of real estate education program, real estate has been amazing to me. Those 4,000 houses, we did like 256, I think, last year. I work an hour a week right now in that business. So it can be done. I'm just turned 50 a couple of days ago. So I don't know how old you are, but if you're 20, if you're 25,
I'm 32, bro. I just had my birthday May 1st and you had yours May 5th, right?
Well, when I was saying you, I was speaking to the audience. Oh. Sorry. So if you're 25, and you start now with Nathan, in 10, 15 years, you can have 5 years, whatever, you can have a company that works for you and runs without you. So anyway, what do? I do exactly what I just said you do. I help people. I wake up every day to help people. And the reason I help people is because 2 years ago, I went through a life transformation trying to get my son help for anxiety. And I was told that I probably had some childhood issues that were contributing to his anxiety. So I went out and worked with this gentleman. And in literally a 3-hour session, he completely and radically helped me change my life. And I realized that all of my problems in life, in those 4,000 houses, I made 5 business mistakes that cost me $9 million. I went through 2 failed marriages. I had 2 kids with behavioral issues. I drank, I used weed. So I had a lot of negative shit going on in my life. And I realized all of it was from this childhood programming. And in those 3 hours, he taught me how to look at that program and reprogram it. So now what I do is I help people who are struggling in any area of their life. If they eat too much, drink too much, their business is all over the place, they're working 100 hours a week, anxiety, depression, OCD, you name it. Everything, every single problem in your life comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's thinking. And the only reason your thinking is flawed, because it wasn't flawed when you were born, is because of your parents or caregivers just doing the best they could, and they loved you, but they didn't always meet your needs. And so what your brain did is it came up with a story. Oh, this is happening to me because I'm bad, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I can never get what I want. And those programming from childhood are buried deep in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind drives 95% of your daily behavior, and most people don't even know it. So when you're fighting with your spouse, it never has to do with the actual argument. It has to do with that childhood programming. So yeah, right now, all I do, I spend all of my time helping clients, and I've seen some incredible, massive results. And again, that sweet spot of 3 to 5 hours. And a lot of these people like me, Nathan, had gone to therapy for decades. And I've created this process by studying under some of the best people where we can correct some of these things in a matter of hours. So that's me, and that's what I do.
That's amazing. And I would recommend for anyone to reach out to Brad Chandler if you want to, dial in and figure out what those things that are keeping you from succeeding. Because I actually see this a lot, whether that's people I'm negotiating with and their problems for selling the house. They believe that's the solution to their problems. But the solution to their problem is not selling that house. It is solving those issues and their thoughts and their beliefs and all that, right? But there's only so much you can do to dive in with a seller, and that's kind of like what we're going to be talking about today. Like, I'm trying to solve their perceived issue, which is the home. That's not really the issue. There's a lot of other issues, and we're going to see that in this example as I dive into this. But Brad, I'm assuming you've seen that a lot too. It's
yeah, I mean, every single seller that I deal with could use my help, because like you said, it's not the only problem you ever have in your life is a thinking problem. And that thinking is from within. So I spent 47 years trying to find love and joy outside of myself. And the house is another thing outside of yourself. If I can get rid of this house and I can get $60,000 in my bank account, it's going to solve everything. It doesn't solve anything. Why do some of your students have incredible success given the same exact material and others don't? We've talked about this on past episodes, right? It's that Johnny or Sally is so scared to pick up the phone and make those calls to those sellers or those buyers because they have a fear of rejection. What's the fear of rejection from? They weren't born with a fear of rejection. The fear of rejection comes from that programming that we've been talking about. Something happened in your childhood that made you feel rejected. And so you keep bringing that in there. So when we clear those out, boom, you can hit the ground running and be like, I don't have any fear. I used to be that guy. I was always afraid of people judging me. And hence that's why I smoked weed and drank, because I felt more comfortable. Now I'll get in front of a crowd. I'll sing, I'll dance. I'll go anywhere because I don't have a fear of judgment anymore. It's a beautiful thing.
And I think that does ring true that's why I love having you on here, Brad, because I talk to a lot of people. I teach them all the same thing, and some people excel, some people don't. And it comes down to, I believe, like you just said, that deep down they have a fear of rejection, they have a fear of something that they need to get over that will help them excel to the next level. And
it has nothing to do with intelligence 99.9% of the time. You want to use intelligence as a reason. Well, he's smarter than me. That's why he's succeeded. Well, I went to graduate school. So Brad went to graduate school. It doesn't matter. If you look at the difference in IQ from like a Fortune 500 CEO and like a mid-level manager at Walmart, the difference is minuscule. It's what does that person believe in their drive in them? So Nathan provides you step by step how to do everything. So if you graduated from 7th grade, literally, if you made it through 7th grade, you can do his program. So cut out the lies. I tell people I'm a truth seeker. If you're suffering, you're not living in the truth. So I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking. Whatever it is, I'm not enough. It's just a lie. So stop living that lie and your world will change radically. Powerful stuff, man. And I know that's why you like getting up every day, because you got to proclaim the power, the word of the power, right? Yes. You're excited to talk about it. I love it. So excited because it's like life. Like I feel, Nathan, that I've literally found the secret to life. Like I don't have bad days anymore. I'm in an amazing relationship that I was incapable. You can't be in a good relationship if you have these childhood programming issues. I'm in a great relationship. I hardly ever get triggered. And if I do, I immediately go to, oh, why am I feeling this way? Oh, it's from my past. Is it true? No, it's not true. Boom. Then I'm moved on. It's just like, boom.
Bro, I got a confession. It's I got triggered yesterday by a 12-year-old. So I'm a part of like a youth group, and we were playing ultimate frisbee, and like for our activity. And this 12-year-old, he's like a little bigger, bigger, stronger kid. And I'm not that big. I'm like 5'7". So this kid's pretty much my size. And he was like talking crap to me. And he like as we are playing ultimate frisbee. And I was like, I can rock this kid in my head. But I'm like, dude, why is this kid triggering me? Like, do I have like short man syndrome, or do I have like a complex, like my thoughts, like something? But then immediately as I I didn't get triggered. I didn't yell at him, but just my thought, I was like, who does he think he is? I realized I'm like, well, what am I doing in my head? So it's interesting. Like you said that it's like, it's so true. Like your thoughts, you make your actions. And
Yes. So Nathan, you did something that I teach my clients to do, and that is just question everything. Why am I feeling? And that's what you did. You're like, why am I feeling this way about this 12-year-old kid? What is it inside of me that I feel inferior to this 12-year-old kid? And then you were just like, well, that's silly, and you moved on, right?
right. Yeah.
Most people, their subconscious just rules everything in their life, and they never stop to think, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? So what I say is pause for a second. Identify the emotion by saying I'm feeling. So I don't know what you were feeling yesterday, but you say I'm feeling inferior, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you give yourself compassion for it. You go, it's okay that you're feeling that way, because that's the little 6-year-old boy inside of yourself. And then try to figure out where it came from. And then the final piece is, what was the thought that triggered it? And is that thought true? And that's what I thought we were going to talk about this today. So it's a great segue into, I have this in a tracker, and I give it to, and we can go into it in more depth at the end if you want. But there's a tracker that I give all my clients, and I'm willing to give it to your listeners for free if you just go to bradchandler.com/tracker. And then you can have that on your phone all the time. And then anytime you have a negative issue, just pull that out and go through it. And it's a brain hack. By saying I am feeling, you're going out of your amygdala fight or flight brain, and you're requiring your brain to think. So you go into the frontal lobe, and you actually kick yourself out of the fight or flight mode that you're in to begin with.
Dang. Yes. How do they get that, bro?
bradchandler.com/tracker.
I like it. Okay. Love it. Easy. bradchandler.com/tracker. Now, everybody, the reason why we're talking about this so much is because taking action is key to succeeding in real estate. You got to get up off your bum and knock that door, call that seller. You got to take action, right? And if there's anything holding you back, I want to introduce you to Brad and the things that are needed, in my opinion, so you can take action. So for me, it was never really that difficult for me to knock on a door, call a seller, talk to a seller openly, just because I've never had those issues. But I know that's not the case for everyone. So if you're struggling to make that phone call, you use batch leads, and you got that giant you got that list, and you skip traced, and you're ready to go, but you're like, ooh, you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to make that call. Do the exact exercise that Brad just said. Brad, do you want to repeat that again? Like, if someone is about to call, but they're afraid to make that first call, what do you think? Explain what they could do again.
Yeah, I mean, this process, guys, can literally change your life. I've given this to clients before we started working together, or between the first and second week. And this one client was like, it's incredible the patterns that I've started to see and what I've learned about myself. So anytime that you feel a negative emotion inside yourself, here's what you need to do. You need to pause. Your wife yells at you. Don't yell back at her. Just pause. Identify what you're feeling, and not saying I am, because that's an identity. Say I am feeling, because feelings come and go. So I'm feeling angry because my wife yelled at me. Then you give yourself compassion. Instead of being like, well, you're an idiot for feeling angry, just say, it's okay, Brad. It's okay, Johnny. You're fine. We're going to be okay. And then you try to figure out where it came from, because the fact that she yelled at you doesn't trigger you. It's something that you're bringing in from your childhood, where someone made you feel a certain way. Then the final piece is, what was the original thought that triggered you and created the emotion? Because remember, every emotion begins with a thought. So the thought creates an emotion, the emotion creates a behavior and action, and then oftentimes that behavior and action reinforces that bad thought, and you just get caught in this loop. So by asking yourself, was it true? It's always going to be untrue, and you can be like, okay, I can bounce out of this. You guys start doing this on a daily basis, your marriage will change, the way that you parent your kids will change. You use it with coworkers and your employees, everything will change, because you're going to start to become aware of why are you behaving the way that you are, without just going through your day, numb, just like always yelling or kicking the dog or whatever you do, going home and drinking a bunch of wine. Well, why do I want to drink wine? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And you process that. Change only can only begin with awareness.
Man, powerful stuff. So Brad, if we relate this to like the person that's trying to make their first call with like, they skip trace, they pull a list, they skip trace, they got the list right in front of them on batch leads, and they're just sitting there and they're feeling nervous, right? Or they're feeling anxious. So you're in your example, what would that be like? Okay, how am I feeling? I'm feeling nervous. Why am I feeling nervous? And then you ask yourself that, right? And then you say, I'm feeling nervous or anxious because I feel like I'll get rejected. Is that kind of like the?
So you left out one important part.
Okay.
What often happens is, you just freeze. You don't do it. It's fight or flight. You freeze. Okay. You get nervous, and you're like, "This is danger," because your brain is saying that if they judge me, it's dangerous, right? Because I was judged in the past, and that was dangerous. So they often freeze. So by asking yourself, "What's the emotion?" Pausing and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, "Okay, I'm feeling nervous." The important part you left out is you've got to give yourself compassion for that. Mm. What often happens is you freeze, then you say, I can't do this, or I'm no good. And then you're like, well, you're an idiot. Why can't you do this? No, you're not an idiot. Nothing is your fault. This was all from childhood programming. So what you say is, I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now. Okay, it's all right if you feel nervous, you feel anxious, because guess what? The nervous emotion and excitement, they're almost identical. So you can tell yourself that. You can say, am I nervous or am I excited? This may be my first deal. So you give yourself compassion for that. Then you go and say, okay, why might I feel this? Well, I'm probably scared of being rejected or being judged. Where in my childhood did someone make me feel that way? Oh, shit. When my dad, in my case, used to make fun of me for having a big head, he judged me. And so that's probably what it's from. But does my dad make fun of me anymore? Do I have a big head? No. Okay, so what am I afraid of? Wow. Well, I shouldn't be. There's nothing to be afraid of. All the person can do is say, I'm not interested in selling, or take me off your list. Or even if they cuss at me, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with their pain. So I can't lose here. So I'm going to pick up the phone and call.
Brother, 100% agree with you, because when I get those people that are upset with me, it has nothing to do with me. And that's kind of, we'll segue right into this. I called this guy. I got this lead. I called him. He was annoyed already with me. He was upset. That has nothing to do with me. I knew that. And I said, hey, look, I'm assuming you feel like this just because I'm probably the 20th investor that has called you. Is that right? He's like, man, I talk to people like you every day. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It has nothing to do with me. This is a situation you're in. So we got to talking. Went from someone being frustrated because I was able to, address the elephant in the room, or the aura, or the problem, or whatever you want to call it. And then we went to setting up a phone call later that day on a Zoom call, a Zoom chat, which I actually want to show everyone here, because the thing is, I knew that if this guy, from the story he told me, he's had 20 calls. He's been under contract. A wholesaler's just like, strung him along, said he could do a price, tried to renegotiate. This guy doesn't trust anyone anymore, right? So I've addressed the situation. I said, hey, I know you're annoyed with me and with investors, and I know you don't trust anyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop on a Zoom call. I'm going to meet you and your wife. You're going to see that I'm a real person. And then we're going to go through your options. And if none of these work, no problem. And if they do, if one of them works, great. And that's how I address the sales process, everyone. Like if you think you're just going to call someone and offer them 50% of the Zillow estimate or whatever you're saying, and then someone's just going to say yes, like that's not a very good business tactic or model. Like you're not going to get a lot of deals that way. And I'm afraid that a lot of people they're making offers, they're making calls without diving in to see what's going on. And Brad, we kind of talked. The real problem is not the home for this family. I know that, but if they do want to sell, so I'm gonna try and solve that. So Brad, do you have anything you want to say that before I kind of share the video?
No, I mean, I think you just kind of like you did something which most people didn't do. Like you identified that this guy isn't mad at you. You didn't do anything wrong, and you asked him what was it, and you gave him an actual example. You said, "Hey, could it be that everyone called you and that you've lost trust?" Yes, and then you say, "I'm going to do something a little different. I want to show to you that I'm a real person and I can help you. And if I can't help you, I'll leave you alone." So I think that's great. I think knowing the human psychology, knowing that most people in this world are suffering, that every action is a call for love or a show for love. So when this guy gets mad at you, he's actually just calling for love. He's hurt because he's been hurt by other investors and he wants someone that he can trust. So every situation that you face, the person is coming at you with a call for love or a show of love. They're showing you love or they're asking for love. If they're yelling at you, cussing at you, they're calling for love. You as a human being get to respond in one of two ways: love or fear and ego. And if you have this childhood programming, I bet you're responding in fear and ego, not picking up the phone and calling someone. That's fear, ego. The more that you can respond in love, because you actually do provide a service that is helping. I've got 4,000. I don't have 4,000 testimonials, but I've got hundreds of testimonials from people like, "Thank you for helping me out of my situation." So I think that's it. Just knowing that you get an opportunity to respond, and most people probably when that guy yelled at him responded in fear and ego, and it made him madder, and he hung up the phone on them. You responded in love. You go, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. If I can help you in a different way, let's talk about it. Let me get on the phone and show you that I'm different from all these other people." So it was amazing. Good job.
Yes. Thank you. So let me kind of show you. I'm not going to go over the full video, everybody, but I do kind of want to show you the sales process that I think everyone should apply to help them get more deals. So my sales process, it's just number based, and it's like finding out what they want and what I can offer, and providing options. So this is my flip calculator. It lets me know exactly what I need to hit, how much I need to make, if I'm in the right margin or not, in order to get a deal done for either me or for my flippers when I wholesale it. And then I present options to sellers. I say, "Hey, option one is cash." They're like, "Oh, that's way too low." And that's what happens on this phone call. And I say, "Okay, well, we know that, it's way too low for you in your situation. You're not willing to accept it. Let's look at some other options." And then, I go over, "Can you fix this yourself? Do you have the time? Do you have the money?" "I don't." "Okay, well, let's look at these other options. I can actually put this on the market and find an investor for you through doing an innovation, and you don't have to worry about commissions, fees, or anything. I'll take care of it all." "No, I don't want to put it on the market. I need to close fast." "Okay, well, we can do an owner carryback. Would you be open to taking payments?" "Yeah, I'd be open to that." So that's kind of the process we went through. I'll just show you guys. It's a 30-minute combo, so we're not going to go over the whole thing, but I'll just kind of show you how I introduce myself. And obviously I'm not perfect, but let's see how it goes. Let's just go through a little bite-sized pieces.
Nathan, I can't hear it on my end.
Oh, you can't hear it on your end?
No.
Let me see if the audio is set up right. Built-in speaker. Let's see. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you fine. I just can't hear the video playing.
Okay, let's see. Let's try this one. How about now? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. How about now?
No.
Dang, I think you know how these audio issues are with sharing screens. So let me see if there's something I need to hit here. It's totally fine. I can just narrate how we went. So I introduced myself, and how I introduce myself is I say, "Hey, we talked earlier, and I know that you've had a lot of people have called you, and you're not sure who you can trust. I wanted to meet you guys in person." So that's the great thing. They're in Fort Myers. I'm in Salt Lake City. Doesn't matter. We're able to connect and build that trust. So we're talking about the property. The first thing that I go over is I say, "Hey, what do you?" I did my research on the property, and I believe this property is probably worth about $350 ARV, like fixed up. Because the first thing I try to do is get on the same common ground with them on what they feel like the property's worth. Because if they think it's worth $1 million and you think it's worth 350, it's going to be hard to negotiate, right? So you got to establish some common ground. So they're like, yes, 350 is what it's worth. And I say, what are you asking for right now? And they're like, we're asking for 275. So with the seller, I actually run the number and I say, okay, look, how much money do you feel like it would cost you to fix this up to get it to 350? And they're like, maybe $40,000. So I just say, okay, well, it's going to take me a couple months to fix this up. I'm going to have to borrow some hard money. I'm going to have to list this. If I buy this at 275 and it's worth 350 after I put $45,000 and hold it, I'm actually going to be at a loss of $15,000. And I explain this. I explain, hey, like I would love to, but I can't run a business and lose money. So instead of me saying, hey, here's a $200,000 offer, right, without context, it's almost like the numbers, and we're coming to that conclusion together instead of me offending them. And they're like, well, no, I can't accept 200,000. I said, hey, I totally get it. You want to walk away with they owed 225. So the guy's like, I want 275 because I want to walk away with 50K. That's what I want. That's why I came up with my number. So I said, okay, well, you know what? If you want cash, if you want to quick close, you're going to have to be lower than what your expectation is right now, because nobody's going to be able to make money as if they buy this as an investment. So we keep talking and he's like, well, maybe I can wait a little bit. Right. So now we find out that the pain of getting more money, like the pain of trying to leave quickly, doesn't outweigh the discount. Right. So then I go into, after that, I say, well, you know what? Fixing it is, I can buy it for cash, but can you fix it? And they're like, no, we don't have the dough to fix it. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. I got to move. So that's completely out of the question, like fixing it up themselves. So then I'm like, well, I can put it on the market for you and we can wait. I can find a buyer through a novation and a partnership, and I'll take care of the fees. And they're like, we don't want to wait 45 to 50 days. So speed is becoming, it's not, they don't want the discount, Brad, but they don't want to wait that long. So the next thing we talk about is the owner carryback. And that's something he's open to. He's like, yeah, take over my loan. I don't care. Take over my loan for the rest of the term. Just give me my money. And that's where we're at right now in this negotiation process. Is he sent me his mortgage statement. I got it right here. And his mortgage, his monthly payment, can I cash flow? Does it make sense? Will an investor buy it? Because I'm not going to buy it. I don't want to put, he wants 45 to 50 down. So this is where the negotiation is. Can I get a certain amount? Can I give him enough down where it makes sense for him, where I can close quickly still? Or is he just going to bite the bullet and just be like, look, I do need to close quickly. I'll take the cash offer. What's the best you can do? But Brad, the reason why I bring up this process without having to go through like the whole video is the transparency. I feel like is super important. Like when working with sellers, like this guy trusts me 100%. And that's how I like to do my business, is like, you work with people, come to a common conclusion that works for everyone. You're not trying to, I don't want to say scam, but you're not trying to pull something over someone's head. Like, give them the information and let them decide, and it makes it easier. So,
what is his? Is this a townhouse?
It is a home. You want me to show you the property?
Yeah, because I might be interested in, honestly. What's his interest rate?
Let me show you the info. Let's see. Gmail. So the issue that we have here is it's a 15-year instead of a 30-year. So the payment's a little higher, but let's look at
it. Does he have like a killer interest rate? Like,
it's killer. I think it's like 2.9 or something.
Oh, wow.
But it's so let's look at this thing. So the address is let me pull it up for you. 128 Sabora. Here. So it's right here, Fort Myers, 32, 1,561 square feet. He's actually a little bit behind on his mortgage payment too, but this is the property. We could go into batch and check it out a little bit more too. So batch leads. Let's log in.
Can you click on a map at some point and just show me how far it is from the water?
Yeah, of course. Let me do that. Let's put it into batch. All right, let's see where it's at. So Lehigh Acres.
Okay.
Fort Myers. That looks like it's probably about 20, 30 minutes. I don't know the area. I guess we
Yeah,
could
I
do.
don't know well either. But it looks like, yeah, it's probably 20 minutes.
So the property is worth around 350 ARV in this area, and it's in decent condition. It's not like they did a terrible job, or super distressed. I think I have some pictures. Let's see if I do. Let's see.
Here's the problem with in this situation. The only problem I see, and it's not necessarily a problem, but when I take property subject to, the whole point is not having to come up with a bunch of cash. So
Exactly.
in this scenario, you got to come up with 50 grand in cash, and then if you want to renovate it, you got to come up with another 40. So closing costs and all that, like you're 100 grand in cash into this property.
That's exactly the problem with properties. You don't want to come in with a ton down. So the man, he wants his equity, well, what he believes is his equity. But what I believe is, as time goes on, he's going to find out that he's not going to be able to get what he wants. So he's going to have to be reasonable with a cash or a seller finance, like a certain amount of down that's going to be, make sense, right? So let's see. It's kind of hard to see, but the payment is $1,716.18. So that's why, because it's a 15-year. I'm trying to look for I'm sure I could download this and actually flip it around. Give me a second. All right. Let's see if I can flip this bad boy. There we go. Technology, right? Okay, so let's see. Look at that, bro. 2.75, right? But the problem again, I think, is the 15-year.
I mean, that's really not a problem. It could be good for somebody because they can pay it off quicker.
True, very true. But yeah, so this is it. I think I can probably get him down on the amount he wants, or we could structure something of like, dude, I can give you 10 now and 40 in a year, or 40 in 5 years, or whatever. Something to the sort where they feel, he's getting his asking price, but it just takes some time.
What's his pain?
He's moving to the Philippines because he's getting divorced.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
okay.
His wife is Filipino. So I want to help him out. And I think when there's motivation, there's always, in my opinion, a play. There's something you can do to help someone. That's why, I don't really care what asking price someone asks. If I always try to find out what's causing them to want to sell, and then we'll figure out how we can help them, whether that's a listing, whether that's novation. So yeah, that's where we're at on this one. Do you let's see if we can find out what the rents would be. I think it's like around 2,000 estimated rent. Okay, 2,302. So that's estimated rents on this property. Let's see what Zillow says as well. I think probably around the same thing. Okay, so if the payment is $1,750 and it doesn't really need that much work, it's looking like there's a difference between what you can rent and what the payment would be of like $450, $500 minus expenses. So it's not like you're killing it either on this property's cash flow,
Interesting. Yeah. I'd like to take a look at it. So maybe we can talk.
Yeah. And everybody that's watching, like, this is the importance of relationships too, because when I tell people about real estate, like a lot of the buyers, when you're wholesalers, a lot of things happen through relationships, right? Like if I sent this deal out to 1,000 buyers that don't know who I am, they just get my email or my text and they're like, who's this guy? They might not respond. But if I call Brad and I know you're looking for specific properties in Fort Myers now or any part of Florida, then it's like, oh, okay, well, then I'll make a quick call and then I'll know if you're interested or not.
All of Southwest Florida, anywhere from Tampa down to like Naples, I'm interested.
And just subject twos or flips? Or
no. Because I want to move there in a couple of years when my daughter graduates from high school. Take my boat, and I like warm weather. I don't like cold weather.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. Everyone that's watching, you got a buyer. Hit up bradchandler.com and check out some of the stuff. And I'm sure you'd love to talk with anyone that
absolutely
deals.
Absolutely.
So I'll send you the information on that statement. You can look into a little bit more. I do believe I can negotiate on the down, because that is quite a bit down. And I thought I had some pictures of the property so we could really.
If he's moving to the Philippines, I mean, you can get like a Mac Daddy apartment for like $300 a month. So a lot of people, you know, this will take the cash and just burn through it. So you
Mhm.
could say, hey, we'll pay you that 50 grand spread over like 2 years or 3 years. So now you've got this guaranteed, you know, cash flow coming in each month.
That's very smart, right? Yeah, that's amazing because at the same time, he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting the money when I would even use it. You said Mac Daddy apartment. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe keep it easy and it's 50 grand over 50 months and you just pay him $1,000 a month.
All right. Well, let's keep talking about it. And man, I really wish I had those pictures, but I don't. Let me check really quick. Let me check my email. Let's see. While I'm looking at this, do you have any questions or anything you want to dissect from the kind of the process that I teach? Do you agree? Do your people do that? Do you do it a little bit different?
So we don't go in typically. We go in with a cash offer, and then we try to pivot to a novation. We have not gotten into the wholesaler finance thing because in the DC market, it's really hard to make that work from a cash flow standpoint. So we've never focused on it that much. We're doing a little bit more now because of the huge interest rate movements. So
Right.
no, I like the strategy of, instead of throwing out 200, showing them that if I bought it for what you wanted, I'd lose 15 grand. And you wouldn't believe, you've probably seen this. Most sellers would be like, well, I know you need to make some money.
Mhm.
So I'll come down 40,000 bucks and then you can make, 20. And does that work for you? And you're like, yeah, that'll work. So no, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and for me, when a seller says their price, they don't know what goes into flipping it, but they're just throwing out what they've seen, right? So if you're able to educate someone, especially if you can come to the same conclusion on what they believe their home is worth fixed up, that makes it so much easier because that's where a lot of it gets mixed up for me is they're like, well, my neighbor sold for 380. And I'm like, yeah, we could get your house to 380, 100%. But, we have to put in a pool like they have. You have to add a extra bedroom, bath. Like we can do that. You can do it yourself. Like I have the connections. I can even give you the people. And they're like, nah, dude, I'm not trying to do any of that. And I'm like, yeah. And not a lot of people are. So that's, yeah. I like
one thing obviously I couldn't see because we couldn't hear the recording, but what I think we do exceptionally well is the price is like the last thing. You want to spend a lot of your time as investor, number one, getting the person to like you're probably really good at.
right.
But number two is what is their pain? So his pain is divorce in the Philippines. So and the fact that he doesn't have the money. So you want to talk a lot through the conversation about the pain and solving the pain. And when you make the offer, you basically say, I can do this, 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 and this. So what's important to him? I need to close in this time. I don't want to make repairs. I want to use XYZ title company. I want to keep the refrigerator. I'm just making up stuff.
Right.
And so you go through and you say, I can do all of those things. And then at the last second, and we can do all that and then you throw out the price because you're getting their mind to think, oh, he's solving this, this, this. Oh my God, all the problems he's solving. And then here's the price. And it's just easier to do it that way. So many people are just like, they focus on the price and it's not about the price. I can't tell you how many houses we bought where we came in lower, but the person felt more comfortable and knew that they could trust Express Home Buyers and went with us.
Agreed. So that first phone call that I had that got that trust before when he was upset, 100%. Didn't even talk about price, didn't talk about anything because it's not worth talking about your offer or anything until you find out if there's any motivation, there's any pain, right? Because if there's no pain, no motivation, it's like, well, you can just list this and wait a year. You don't care, right?
Yeah, and you can ask him that, like, why not list it? And people are like, well, why would you give him that idea? Well, he already had that idea.
Yes.
You're not gonna give anyone an idea that they haven't had. So just talk about the elephant in the room. Well, this is a really nice property. Why don't you just list it? I can't. Oh, why can't you? Well, I can't wait that long. Oh, why can't you wait that long? Because I've got a tax payment due. I've got child support. Or I'm going to go to court. I've got whatever it is. That's how you become a detective and you figure out you're really just providing solutions, right? And like you said, the house isn't their problem. They've got other bigger problems. The house is just part of it.
100%. Okay, actually, I found the pictures that one of my leads managers had sent it to me. Okay, so this is it. So it's not extremely nice. Let's take a look at this bad boy.
That cat needs a sprinkler system.
It does, and it's got some tarps on there, so
Ooh.
you got to believe there's something going on with that roof. Let's see. Let's keep going. So older bathrooms, right? Like not updated. Not terrible, right? Like it's obviously not it's need to be remodeled if you're going to flip it. That looks like one of the newer garages they have. Let's see. Another bathroom, old. Kitchen. What is that? What do they call that? A shit
Formica, I think.
Formica. Yeah, that's correct. So the cabinets, not bad. Flooring need to be redone. Again, it depends on what kind of flip it is, right? Like if it's an Airbnb, probably could get away with like a little carpet paint. But yeah, Brad. So from your experience as a flipper, this would need to be remodeled, correct?
Obviously, I mean, and it's probably, if the roof needs to be redone, and I don't know what the HVAC is like, obviously it's probably 40 or 50 grand. So let's run those numbers in my head. So they want 275, and you think the house is worth 350?
Yeah, let's just do it in the calculator because I'll show you how it works, and I actually can give this to you if you like it.
Well, can I tell you how we do it? Like kind of back of the envelope. It'd be interesting to see how far off we are. Yeah, so it typically of the 4,000 houses, we range between 12 and 13% of cost off of the ARV.
Okay,
that's paying the lender, realtor transactions, all of that stuff. So if it's 350, 10% of 350 would be 35. So we're at another 5,000. So that's $40,000. So we're at 350. So we're going to take off $40,000. So now we're at 310, and we're going to take off 50 for renovation. So now we're at 260. Am I doing the math right?
You are, yeah.
And you had a loss of $15,000. So boom, we would lose money at that as a flip. So it's not a flip. It's really for a buy and hold investor or someone like myself who wants to live there. And that house is just not quite nice enough. Even if I redid it for me to live there, I want something probably closer to the water. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. So now you're talking about probably having $100,000 of cash into it. So then the subject to doesn't become quite as alluring.
Yes, of course, because subject to, what you want is just to get a property that you can just rent out immediately, right, or sell it and someone take over. So interesting situation that I'm assuming a lot of Americans are in right now, where they want what they believe it is worth or what it was worth, but they don't. The property's not worth, I guess, even close to that. It's tough.
You know what this would be good for? Again, the 50 grand is just so much, but it would almost be good for doing a buying it with seller financing and then selling it on seller financing.
That's correct. Yeah. But so you would have to make sure that you could get more down than, what you gave him. And you would have to make sure that, someone would want to take it, and you'd have to do the repairs. I wish you
wouldn't have to do the repairs. That's the beautiful thing. You would find the person, you would find like a contractor that wanted to move in there. And then what we could do is we could require, a $25,000 down payment. And then we could tell him that we're going to pay him $1,000 a month over 50 months. And then we have that security. And frankly, I have someone who's a specialist in this. So when I get off with you, I'm going to call her and see if she's interested in maybe partnering with me on this. And then maybe we'll try this as our first one.
Hey, brother, I'm completely down. Let's do it. Because for me, obviously, everybody that's watching, like, this deals, it's important to get deals, but it's also important to upgrade your skill set, right? Like, and bring more people in that can help you do more deals. So let's do it, Brad. Let's get it done.
All right.
All right, everybody. Well, we had a good time today. Showed you a little about the sales process. We talked about how Brad is changing lives right now by helping people change their thoughts. So please hit him up if you want to learn. Brad, do you have anything you want to say?
I do. I just want to kind of wrap this whole thing up with a bow, because life is absolutely beautiful right now for me. And it wasn't always that way. I had a pretty good life, but I've learned, like I said, I think I've learned the secret to life. And I just want to let you know that if you're listening and you're struggling with making phone calls, if your marriage sucks, if you have kids with behavioral problems, if you drink too much, eat too much, smoke too much weed, you're working 100 hours a week, you're depressed, you're anxious, you have OCD, all of that stuff is fixable. And if you really want to change, it can be fixed in mind-blowing speed. I do it every day, where in about hour 3 to 5 of working with me, these clients have remarkable transformations. And I was in a 3-hour session that was a remarkable transformation for me. So life isn't about suffering. If you're suffering, you don't have to. Stop telling yourself the lies that you're not good enough. You are good enough. You always were enough. You always will be enough. And if I can help you, reach out to me. bradchandler.com/contact I put a social media post out every day on happiness and freedom and love. Call me, book a call with myself or my team. Whatever I can do to help you, I'm here to help you, because I've been in your shoes to some degree, and I'm in these new shoes, and these new shoes are really, really great. And if I can share that with you, every human being should have access to this. I signed up a client yesterday, and she goes, "This is incredible. Like, if this really works, like, why haven't we heard about this?" And I was like, "I've got my theories, because do you know how many billions of dollars that the drug manufacturers are making? 33% of Americans are on an SSRI, which is an antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug. Like, are you kidding me? None of those people were born with depression and anxiety. It's not inherited. So it was learned behavior. So all of this stuff can be unlearned and unlearned in a fast way. So any problem that you have, remember, it's a thinking problem. And if I can be of assistance to you, please reach out.
Brad Chandler, everybody. Hey, thanks for coming on. We'll see you guys next week. Best Drive Live. Peace out.